wanted to talk to you about the difference between a seller's market and a buyer's market. And you may have heard people throwing these terms around and thought, oh boy, I don't really know what people are talking about. But don't worry, you're in the right place, and this is actually a pretty simple concept. So what it all comes down to is who has the upper hand in the market, the seller or the buyer. In the seller's market, the seller has the upper hand, and I'm going to give you an example to show you why. So in a seller's market, you have a whole bunch of buyers over here and a much smaller pool of sellers over here. So you've got a bunch of buyers clamoring for not enough inventory to go around to satisfy everybody's needs. So in this case, the sellers have the upper hand, and a seller may be looking at all of these buyers and saying, well, who's going to give me the highest price? Typically in a seller's market, prices are going up. They may also be looking at the buyers and saying, who's going to give me the best terms? Maybe they're hoping that someone, in order to be more competitive than their other buyers, is going to throw away this appraisal gap in terms of if the purchase price is higher than the appraisal that comes back. This buyer might say, don't worry, I'll cover that difference. This sale is still going to go through. Or maybe sellers are saying to buyers, who's willing to not ask for any updates to my home should inspection items come back that are not looking favorable for my home. So in this particular case, it's the sellers who have the upper hand because there are a lot more buyers than sellers. Now, what's going to lead to this situation typically are two things. First is when you have a strong economy. So you only have X number of homes available in the area, and you have a whole new wave of buyers coming in because the economy is strong and people are getting new jobs and they want to move to the area. So now there's a lot of competition for not a lot of supply. The other thing that might drive this kind of market is a decrease in interest rates. There could be a lot of previously people who were just sitting on the sidelines saying, I don't know if I want to buy a home yet, but once they start to see the interest rates going down and going down, they realize this is a really good time to get into the market. So you have a whole new flood of buyers and still only a smaller number of homes. Now, just the opposite is the buyer's market. In the buyer's market, the buyer has the upper hand. So we're going to have a small pool of buyers and a much larger pool of sellers. Let's make this example really simple. Let's say we have one buyer and 24 sellers. So all of these sellers are clamoring over each other, trying to get the attention of this one buyer. Typically, the most common thing that's going to happen is the price of the homes are going to go down. People are competing against each other to get this buyer to buy their home. A few more things that might happen is someone may make a whole bunch of updates to their home, but still sell it for the same price as their neighbor to hopefully entice the buyer to buy their home. And other times you even see sellers throwing in certain perks like saying, hey buyer, I'm going to give you a big credit, so once this sale closes, you'll have a bunch of money to update the home however you want. But typically, in this buyer's market, it's the buyer who has the upper hand because there are a lot less buyers than sellers and home prices are going down. Now, what contributes to a buyer's market? There are several factors. First, it may be that the economy is not doing so well, because usually when the economy is not doing well, there aren't a lot of people who are looking to purchase a home. Also, you may have some people, some sellers who lost their job or they're looking to leave the area to decrease their cost of living, or maybe there's a new economic opportunity somewhere else, so they have to leave, so there's more homes coming on the market, but not a lot of buyers. Another case might be that interest rates are rising. As interest rates increase, there are typically less buyers. So you may have the situation again where there's less buyers and a lot more sellers. Another thing that might happen is you could have high inventory. Maybe a few years ago there were a bunch of new builders who came into the market and they built a whole bunch of new homes thinking, oh, the economy's going to do great in a few years, but that's not what happened. And so here's this seller who's trying to sell their home and they're competing with all of this brand new inventory. So again, you have a lot more of this inventory, these sellers versus these buyers. And then finally, sometimes this happens because there's a natural disaster. It's pretty common after a natural disaster for there to be a new influx of sellers, people who just don't want to rebuild their home or people who it left a bad taste in their mouth and they're just looking to restart their life elsewhere. But either case, you only had a certain number of buyers and now a whole new pool of sellers. So hopefully this helps break it down for you. In a seller's market, it's the seller has the upper hand and usually home prices are going up. And in a buyer's market, it's usually buyers have the upper hand and home prices are going down. Thanks. so much for watching.